sitting on your sit bones or maybe kneeling here, coming to a nice cozy position and closing down the eyes. If lying down feels better for you today, you could choose to lie down. When we're sitting upright, we do often allow ourselves to feel a bit more energy. So if you're feeling really sleepy, maybe come to sitting. And we'll spend the next 30 minutes together just going through a nice, gentle, but energizing flow to help unwind from the work day or maybe just your activity throughout the day today. And any sedentariness, if that's a word, just being really sedentary or feeling redundant in your activity and exploring different ranges of motion. We'll connect with our breath to help us connect to our body so that we can ensure nice, safe movement throughout practice. Taking a cleansing breath together, breathe in through the nose, send it out of the mouth. Let the shoulders soften. Let the gravity come into your hips. Taking 2 more cleansing breaths in. Open mouth out. Push out all of the air on your exhale, and let's do that again together. Big breath in. Big breath out. And now I invite you to bring one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. We'll engage our yogi breathing. So yogi breathing is this abdominal breath or wave-like movement throughout the breath and throughout the body. So we'll firstly inflate the balloon in our belly on the inhale and then inflate the chest. So inflating up through the clavicles. And then on the exhale, you deflate the chest first and then deflate the belly. So you can feel with your hands this motion, breathing into the belly and then continuing that breath in all the way to the chest, filling up with air. And then on the exhale, starting from the chest, pushing the air out and down, and then push from the belly. A couple of more rounds, this abdominal wave-like yogi breathing. So you might be breaking this into separate parts as you breathe into the belly and into the chest. And then over time, it can become a bit more fluid, expanding the entire torso, feeling those intercostal muscles start to work, those muscles in between the ribs, and then really contracting the belly to push the air out. Just 2 more rounds of this abdominal breathing. And come to your natural breath. Feeling the stillness now in the body. Noticing any stillness in the mind. And I invite you now to think of an intention for your practice tonight. Maybe something that brought you here, or it might be for somebody else tonight. Let's bring our hands up together at the heart. Anjali Mudra, palms touching, pushing firmly against each other. And we'll continue to work with our breath in and out through the nose as much as you can for the rest of class. And you might bring your attention to that wave-like motion as we move throughout the shapes. If that's a bit too much, just focus on the in and out through the nose. And we'll bring our intention and attention up to the third eye, drawing the hands to this third eye chakra, pushing the thumbs slightly against the forehead. Just honoring the intention that you have And then bowing forward, sending that intention out. Gently, gently start to open up your eyes, rolling into a tabletop position from here. So starting to warm up a little bit within the hips. Let's take some circles here, doing something a bit different. So we'll send the hips back, straighten out through the arms, and then bring the body forward as you rotate in circles, one direction, leaning as far back as you want to go tonight. Noticing where you're holding that stagnant energy in the body. Maybe one place feels really good to hang out. You could find some stillness there. And then start to find the motion in the opposite direction. Sending your hips towards the heels, taking big range of motion. And again, if any one spot feels extra juicy, you could hang out there, lean into that sensation a little bit. And then we'll find a neutral spine. Shoulders right over the wrists, fingers nice and wide here. And then let's send the left foot back. So the toes are still on the ground here, getting a nice calf stretch. So you can lean into the toes as you straighten out through the left leg. Yes, just a gentle calf stretch here. Keep the left leg active, draw the belly button into the spine. Last breath here, and then we'll start to hover the left toe away from the ground, keeping your hips parallel to the mat here. And then on your exhale, let's find knee to nose, doming the upper back so you have some space for your leg underneath you. Inhale, lengthen the left leg long behind you. 2 more times. Exhale, knee to nose. Maybe you can kiss your knee. Not today for me. Inhale, lengthen the leg long. Last time, exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, leg long behind you. Now we're going to do some frog circles with that left knee. So as if you're tapping the left elbow, draw the knee up towards the armpit or the elbow, and then straighten the leg long behind you. 2 more times. As you yawn that hip open, take a big circle and then tap the elbow. That's it. 1 more time. As you exhale, find that frog circle with the hip, tap the arm, and then let's let it go. Bringing the left knee to the ground. If this wrist needs a bit of release, you can bring the top of the left wrist to the ground. Take a couple of moments for everything to resettle. There's a bit of core engagement there too. So starting to feel the burn a little bit. Coming to our tabletop pose, let's do the same thing on the other side. So first starting with the right toes on the ground as we straighten out through the left knee. Couple of breaths as you feel into this side of the body. And then slowly start to hover the right leg, keeping those hips parallel. The leg is long behind you. On your exhale, knee to nose, carving out the belly. 2 more times. Inhale, right leg long, send it high. Exhale, knee to nose. You might be able to bring your chin under as well. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, maybe you can kiss the knee this time. Inhale, straighten out. And now let's find 3 frog curls. So as we exhale, we yawn that hip open and tap the elbow or the armpit. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, tapping to the arm. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, reach all the way to the arm. And then inhale, nice long leg, and we'll drop it down to tabletop pose. Taking a moment to relieve your right wrists, and maybe bringing the top of the hand to the ground. So you might have started to feel your range of motion in the hip as we were externally rotating that hip. Noticing any of those cobwebs that you dusted off from opening up there. And let's find a rebound shape of child's pose. So knees are open nice and wide, toes together to touch. And let's let the forehead come onto the ground. And this is the cool part where I think you can still hear me because I've got these headphones in. Allowing the forehead to rest nice and gently on the ground. Your arms can walk out long a little bit further to the top of the mat and just nuzzle in towards the hips on the floor. All right, last breath here. Savor this moment, and then we'll make our way to downward facing dog. Let's tuck our toes and send those hips high. Hands are shoulder width distance apart and keep pushing into the pads of the fingers. Feel free to take your dog for a walk as you shake the hips, bend the knees, feeling into the calves. Noticing if one side is a bit tighter than the other. And on your next exhale, let's walk the hands to the feet, finding a rag doll at the back of our mat, holding onto the arms. Nice bend through the knees here. This will help to release the low back. Allow the head to be nice and heavy. If you want a little bit more of a release, you can interlace your hands behind your skull and just very gently allow them to fall on the back of your head. Try not to force anything. Good. Let's release the arms now. And we'll slowly come to standing. So you can dangle yourself upright, allowing the head to be the last thing to rise. Let's see. Step back a little bit. All right. So from here, we're going to sink into our chair pose. So bend the knees. Maybe you sweep the ground here. As you sink the hips a little bit lower, you can lift the arms up overhead. If you've got tight shoulders, let's cactus the arms here. Keep drawing the belly button in toward the spine. Strong engagement. You could also widen the feet to hip width distance as well. Bring the hands to heart center to help with our balance. And now let's lift through the left knee and we'll hook the ankle across. So this is our figure 4 or open eagle. So we're still kind of in our chair pose as we're bending into the right standing leg, and keep flexing through your left toes, and we're yawning this hip open. You can keep the hands at heart center and maybe lean forward a little bit more. The forearms can come to rest on the shin. Keep drawing the heart forward. Stay low in that right knee. You might even choose to bring the hands to the ground. If you have an arm balance practice here, you could float on up to your lightning bolt pose. We'll stay here for 3 breaths, feeling this glute stretch through the left leg and anywhere else you might be feeling this one. And the transition from here is to continue crossing that left ankle around the right so that your foot stamps to the floor. Then we're in a forward fold, a twisted ankle forward fold. So our left foot is in front, the right foot is behind. Let the head relax. Bring the hands down to the floor, and then we'll start to walk the hands over to the left so that we're bumping the hips to the right, and you can feel a nice juicy IT band stretch here. So whichever leg is behind, maybe your right ankle is behind the left. Yeah, bring your hands over then to the left. So opposite foot to opposite side. if that makes sense. And if you're not feeling anything, play around with bringing the arms to the other side of the body, and maybe you'll feel that stretch down your right IT band. And we'll slowly release, bringing the hands out in front of us, and just uncross your ankles, bringing the left foot over to the other side. And then we'll breathe in, lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, flat spine. Exhale, fold forward, let the head relax. Sweeping into our chair pose, grazing the ground, sending the hips down, lift your arms up overhead. Good. So how does this shape feel now that we're here again? Is the muscle memory starting to form a little bit more time and time again after we come into our Utkatasana chair pose? Strong yogi breath. Can you feel the waves coming up and down the body? We'll bring our hands to the heart and find our figure four. It's a really good, strong quad workout. We'll bring, this time, the right foot up and bring the ankle to the knee. Finding our open eagle or figure four shape here. So keep lifting up with the heart for now, and then we'll eventually get into our forward fold. We sink down a little bit lower, push your palms together. And now maybe you can lean a little bit further forward. You can rest the forearms on the shin. Keep flexing through your right toes. As we flex the toes, it helps to protect the knee and hip joint here. And maybe you bring the hands down out in front of you. Keeping a bend in that standing leg, you could play around with your lightning bolt pose as you float the leg into the air. We won't get into that today. Another breath. And then just continuing the cross of that right leg over the left. Your pinky toes might be able to touch, or you might find that nice crease along the edges of your feet where it just fits perfectly. So keep a little bit of a bend in your knees here. And with the right ankle in front of the left ankle, we'll start to walk the arms over to the right. Bumping the hips over to the left, finding that length down the back leg. Last round of breath here. Walk your hands to center and unhook your ankles, bringing both feet together to touch on the U. Inhale, we lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, shrug the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, fold down, Uttanasana. We'll dangle all the way to standing again, stacking each vertebrae on top of each other, and then shrugging your shoulders up and away from the ears. And then from here, we're going to take a big step forward. Doesn't really matter which foot. Now, I have to adjust the camera so you can see me. Okay, so we're coming into this wide-legged stance. Yeah. And we'll bring the toes out to an angle so that they're angled toward the corners of the mat. Rather than parallel, they're slightly toed open. Good. Bringing your hands to your hips, let's sink those hips down. Amazing. So I'll show you from this way too. So we've got a nice wide stance, toes are out, and then we sink down into the hips. Amazing. Keeping a nice long spine here. Keep lifting up through the chest. Is it burning yet? Let's start to lift the left ankle away from the ground so that we're on our left toes. Oh yeah, nice engagement here through the hamstrings. And then release the left heel to the floor. Other side. Lift the right ankle away so that you're on your right tippy toes. And release. Let's do that again. Inhale, we lift the left heel. Exhale, heel to the floor. Inhale, lift the right heel. Exhale, heel down. Let's come to shooting star. Breath in, straighten the arms, straighten the knees. Give yourself a moment of release from that squat. And then bringing the hands back down to the hips. Big breath in. Exhale, sink to your goddess pose once again. Now we'll bring the hands to the tops of the knees here. And we'll start to lean the bum back as we bring the heart forward. We're finding a bit of a twist here. And we're going to shrug the right shoulder in towards center and look over your left shoulder. Yeah, a little dip of the shoulder here. So you're pushing firmly into your legs. Let's release on your breath in. And on your breath out, take it the opposite direction. So you're straightening through that left arm as you dip the shoulder in, and a little bend in your right arm just to help support you. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, dip the right shoulder in, look to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, over to the right. Inhale, peel the chest to center. And exhale, we're going to straighten the legs, come to a wide-legged forward fold. And for our wide-legged forward fold, we want to adjust our feet. So the toes can either be pigeon-toed inwards or just parallel with one another. It might really depend on your ankles what feels better. So play around with the direction of your toes and start to rock your way into the toe mounts here. Your arms can walk all the way back behind you. Or maybe it feels better to reach them onto the ankles. You can shake the head and let any of this tension go. Our forward folds are nice and cooling, so we want this to be less stressful and we want it to be more of a restorative shape. So if you need to bring the legs closer together to make it less stressful, maybe that will work. Maybe just rocking your weight more forward into the toes and using your arms out in front of you to support you is helpful. And then we'll all bring our hands out in front of us, right underneath your face, and straighten out through the elbows. So from here, we're planting the right arm to the ground and then lift the left arm to the sky. You could have a little bend in your knees here. You could also tense your fingertips. You could also walk your legs a little bit closer together. So we don't want to induce stress, but we definitely want to find that edge where it's a little bit uncomfortable for the body. We're getting outside of our comfort zone, just a teeny tiny bit, so that we want to come back, but also so that we can still breathe. And let's release on the exhale, find the other side. So now the left arm plants underneath the face, yawn that right arm up to the sky. You might notice a big difference in the sides of your bodies. Noticing which side's a bit tighter, which side's more open. Where do you feel that sensation running throughout the body? On your next exhale, release, coming to your wide-legged forward fold, but the head hang heavy. And from here, we're just going to crawl ourselves forward to the top of the mat. Any type of transition you want, doesn't have to be too graceful. Making our way onto our hands and knees. Let's breathe in to rinse out the spine for cow pose, and breathe out for cat. And then sink your hips back for child's pose, opening up your knees here, letting your belly hang in between the thighs. A couple of rounds of breath as we just notice any shifts in the body. We took it kind of slow tonight, but also a bit strong. Getting a nice stretch in to those hips and finding a bit of a detoxifying twist as well. We'll slowly crawl ourselves forward onto our mats, and then we'll flip ourselves onto our backs. And we'll plant the feet onto the floor like a bridge shape, so the knees are lifting towards the sky and the soles of the feet are down on the ground. And we'll find our figure 4 here, also called supine pigeon. So we'll start with the left foot and then hook the ankle around or on top of the knee. This might be enough for you. You can feel the glutes stretching and maybe into the groin. But you could also then start to hug the knees into the chest. So keep those feet flexed where the toes are coming back to the shins. You could rock the body from side to side. You could stay in stillness. And another option here is to straighten that right leg up to the sky and keep pushing your elbow in to the left knee. And that just changes up the shape. Or bend the knee down again. And the hands will interlace around the right thigh. Okay, for an extra glute stretch, you could stay here or start to hold on to the left leg and plant the right foot onto the floor. You could stay here and just sway the shin from side to side. Or we're going to transition into a funky cradle shape. So with this shin, with the left foot, we'll bring the sole of the foot into the right elbow crease. And then wrap the left elbow around the knee so that the hands interlace around the shin. So if you want to have a look at what I'm doing, if that's a bit too confusing, I'm holding my shin in between both elbow creases and allowing the head and the shoulders to rest back on the floor. I like to start with my right knee bent because this one's already intense for me, but then you could straighten out through that right leg on the ground or just keep it bent. And you could rock from side to side. And last breath, and then we'll release into a supine twist. So just very gently release that shin. And if you want to take our twisted roots variation, you'll hook that left knee over the right like you're just crossing the legs. And then send those legs to the right. As we twist open the body, left arm goes out long. You could gaze over that left shoulder, maybe close down the eyes. And start to take some big breaths, even more productive than they have been. You could place that right hand on the belly and feel the wave-like motion of the breath coming in and out of the body. Last breath here. And we'll slowly come out of that twist, planting both feet onto the ground. You might like to lift and lower your pelvis just to realign the spine. And we'll take it on the other side. So we'll hook the right ankle to the left knee and you yawn that hip open. You could start by massaging through that right thigh, push into the leg there. You could stay here or start to hug your knees up and bringing your arm in between the groin and interlacing the hands. Again, keep those toes active. That right elbow could help out in opening the right hip by placing the elbow into the knee. And we'll just take a couple of breaths. Maybe you play around with straightening the left leg to the sky. Adding on from here, we'll gently hold on to the right leg and then let the left foot come to the floor. Finding our cradle shape, like you're cradling a little baby. We'll bring the left elbow crease into the right sole of the foot and then wrap the right elbow crease around the knee and then allow your head to fall back on the floor. Try to let the shoulders soften. It can be pretty intense. So if this one's not for you, just hang out in your figure four for a couple more breaths. Another option here is to straighten through that left leg. And you'll feel a bit of an opening through the hip flexor there on that left side. And wherever you're at is totally perfect. Just close down your eyes and feel the breath flowing throughout the body. Last breath, and then we'll make our way into our supine twist. So crossing that right leg all the way over the left. This is our twisted roots variation. And then you can bump your hips over to the right as you start to let the legs fall to the left. Opening up that right arm. Your eyelids softly close. A few deep breaths, letting the body relax. And letting the mind relax. Slowly untwisting yourself here. If there's any last little shape you'd like to take, feel free. Before we hit Shavasana, a happy baby could feel good, pushing the whole back body into the ground, noticing if you can get each vertebrae to touch the ground as you lift the legs and bend the knees towards the armpits. A couple of more deep breaths. And then we get to make our way to our sleepy Shavasana, maybe hugging yourself up into a little ball, giving yourself a big kiss and a big hug, full of gratitude for yourself, for your body, exactly as it's shown up tonight. Sip in a little bit more air, and then on your out breath, find Shavasana, our corpse pose, representing the end of our practice, the end of the cycle. Perhaps finding a state of bliss as you lie here and nourish in all of the efforts of your practice. Letting go of your breath, letting go of any attachment or judgment you had throughout that sequence. And just allowing your body and mind to be exactly as they are right now. Start to invite a little bit more movement back into your physical body. Adding in a bit more breath through the belly and through the chest. Making your way into a fetal position on your favorite side. Hugging your knees in closely, maybe using your bicep as a pillow. And our fetal position is the rebirth of our practice. Completing the cycle. And every day is a birthday. Gently closing your eyes down and feel your way into a comfortable seat. It's nice to finish practice like we started. It's a really great opportunity to reflect on any differences that you might feel. And of course, we're reflecting without judgment or expectation, but just simply noticing what is. Without changing the breath, just notice your breath. It's a pretty challenging thing to do. We'll automatically want to control the breath when it comes to our consciousness. Just notice its natural rhythm after a bit of practice and cultivation of our breath work. And breath is this beautiful elixir of life. It brings us vibrancy and vitality. It helps to heal and nourish our bodies. And it even helps with our mind, creating a bit of clairvoyance after we breathe deeply for so long. Bring your hands to the heart, acknowledging your intention that you set at the beginning of class, whether it was for yourself or for somebody else. And slowly bring your arms up to third eye center, allowing the thumbs to press against the third eye. And you might see a subtle bit of light as you push the thumbs into the forehead, touching the pituitary gland, the pineal gland. The pineal gland, like a pine cone, sitting at the back of your forehead there. And as we acknowledge one another, we can bow to each other and say, the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste. Thanks, lovely yogis. It's so amazing to have you for class.